Isla, why don't you come on up? Thank you so much. This is a clubhouse that we can use whenever we want to. So we can have really beautiful events in here. It's wonderful. And thank you, Isla, because she provides this space and it's fabulous. And we can grow this space as big as we want. And we can do RRPs and still run the trains. But RRPs are what drives the force of this business. And those are real results parties for anyone who's doing that's what you're at today, a real results party. Okay?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you so much, Rachel, for being here. It's a privilege to have you here and doing this for us. I've been in the business for about 7 months now, and it's really a great company. I really love where I'm at now. I know that I kind of fell off because I really needed to own where I am in the company. So now it's like I'm on fire. I love it, and I just want to share it with anyone possible. And Kathleen is a very dear friend of mine, and we both live in the complex here. So we decided, why not throw a party together? So this is our second Real Results Party here, and it's an honor to have Kathleen here with me doing this party.
Thank you. And thank you, Rachel, for being with us and bringing all these wonderful people to be in this room with us. And it's been a joy working with Isla.
Absolutely. She's got us.
She really is. She is. And I've noticed, the difference in her complexion and even her way of being. She shows up differently. She's not hiding. She's really extraordinary. So, and I just met her a few months ago.
So you've watched her transform her self-esteem already.
Right.
So thank you all for being here. I'm really excited, and I can't wait for you guys to get all this information to.
Thank you. Kathleen, why don't you just start real quick and just tell us your story a little bit.
Okay, so my story is I began in June, and I'm a brand partner. I love the product. I'm 77 years old, and I have seen the difference in my own complexion, my own skin, and I'm moving at a very slow pace. But I love speaking to people about it, and one of the things that I have been doing is sharing it with everybody, and I have a lot of people overseas who are interested in Switzerland, London, Paris, and I just can't wait to learn.
One country at a time. But we will own the world.
Right here.
We will own
Right
the
here.
world.
And I really, really love what it does, and I love the simplicity of it. That the fact that this is the only thing I have to do, because I am not a person who likes to go out and spend a lot of money on product. So this is perfect for me. So I love it. So, and welcome to my home. Thanks.
Okay, well. So the beautiful thing about a Real Results Party is that it's more intimate. It's not as formal. It's not going to go over the whole comp plan down to the detail wire because it's really not necessary. We'll just cover the basics of that because it's actually super simple. This is about sharing the product with you, the science with you, what we actually have on our hands, and ways in which I feel that I can advise you and help you to grow your business, and also be sharing and changing other people's lives. Because I'm a 23-year medical esthetician. I have built physicians and lectured many times to doctors and large groups, thousands of people on skin and how it works and the organ itself, etc. And I'm a teacher in the field and a practitioner in the field. I have my own style of practicing. It's very much out of the box from the norm. I feel most aesthetics really goes back to the 60s, and it really hasn't been updated since, and people are still scrubbing their faces and microing everything, and that's what you're going to see a lot of in the industry. However, that's really old technology. What we have on our hands is not new technology, but newly released technology, and one of a kind. There is nothing like Nerium on the planet. And I can tell you from my 23 years of working with just about everything from the onset of injectables, lasers, and everything else there was, I have never seen anything accomplish what Nerium AD can accomplish in a non-toxic, primarily botanical product, ever. So I studied it very thoroughly. I was one of those ones that had to be, a lot of reps come to me, medical reps of every kind, and I'm studying over about 200 lines. Not that I use them all, I just want to know what people are being sold or being told. And most people don't research. And they're usually sold by representatives, and this is great, and that's great, and this is new technology, but does it really work? And how does it work? And why does it work? And that's really important. And I feel that when people understand that, they understand Nerium. And they understand how Nerium works and why Nerium works. And that's really important, in my personal opinion. And all of you, even as a practitioner, I teach all of my clients. My clients are like no more than probably 80% of the estheticians that are walking around, because everything I do while I'm doing it, I teach. Unless, of course, it's a love check-out facial, in which case they don't care.
Oh, okay.
But generally, I'm working on bread and butter dermatology. I'm really more of a results-oriented practitioner. Lowest toxicity, highest efficacy, that is my bag. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing such things as flying certain stem cells in from France and doing all kinds of other things that regenerate the organ. Because the organ, everybody's skin works the same way. It doesn't matter what your nationality is, what your skin type is, what color it is. Everybody's skin is an organ, and it all works the same way. So it only knows so many ways to heal. It only knows so many things to do. And so everything in the medical field, going all the way back, has been ways to essentially stimulate the derms. Because if you're not doing dermal work, you're not doing anything. Everything else is just something you're slapping on. It's something to make you feel good for the day. It's not actually changing or having an effect on anything. The dermis is where new cells in the skin are produced. That is where all new cell development takes over. The skin also regenerates itself every 30 to 35 days. That's why there's a 90-day gallery. It's not picked out of a hat. It's 3 skin cycles. And that's something to appreciate. And that's true on your entire body. All of your skin regenerates every 30 to 35 days. So when you see Nerium and what it is capable of doing, you really see a drama when you look at that 90-day gallery, because that's about 3 months, which is a typical medical trial. Just so you know, in the medical field, you generally go on something for 3 months to see if it's going to do what you need it to do. And then you modify it, or you change it, or you add to it. That's just how it works. And that's for the same reason, because they want you on 3 skin cycles to evaluate. So the skin, being an organ, just like the rest of the organs in your body, can regenerate itself. What we have in our hands comes from an autoimmune source. It just does. It comes from an extract from a plant that is non-toxic. It's an enzymatic molecule It's extremely small in its molecular size. The smaller the molecular size of something, the better and stronger the penetration and absorption and result is going to occur. It's also going to do all kinds of things, and there are stages with any fast-acting cell turnover product. And this is true for anything. In the past, you know, everybody knows, everybody was on vitamin A, some form of retinol, isotretinoin, retin A, retinol, I don't care what you call it. There's 50 million kinds out there. It's still just rampant in the industry, and it is a toxic topical. We used to test your blood for it, but now nobody cares. They just hand it out like candy. It's going to fix everything. It is a rapid cell turnover product, however, and when people go on it, they often have an acneic breakout when they go on it initially, and then they get past that because of its rapid abilities to cell turnover. But like I said, unfortunately, retinols thin the skin over time. They break down the skin and they make you photophobic, meaning when you walk out into the sun, you are going to fry. And that's why you see a lot of thin-skinned red people that use a lot of retinols. Okay? Very common. The beautiful thing about Nerium is that it's actually the opposite. It builds up the skin. It wouldn't be able to do what it did unless it was actually working on your autoimmune system. Being that it's basically the NAEA extract combined with aloe vera completely. So you've got the pure molecule combined with another pure molecule, and that is the initial mix right there. That's 90% of your bottle. So, and anything this extract gets next to, it increases that efficacy through the roof, which is why there is a whole line of products that is going to come out that is Nerium. Right now, we're in the bullseye of the bullseye of the bullseye, which is facelifting. Everybody wants not to have surgery. Everybody doesn't want to have fillers. Everybody doesn't want to have Botox. Not everybody wants to be doing all of these things, and the expense is pretty outrageous. The maintenance is outrageous, and you know, I personally I can shoot if I wanted to. I made a decision never to be a shooter. I didn't like what I saw in the early 90s, even when it was all starting, and then the Sculptra and the retinols and the radiuses and all the other fillers and some of the problems with them and the blooding and, you know, the scar tissue that forms and getting it in evenly, etc. And But by the same token, I would tell you that if you were talking to somebody who was a physician or who was a shooter, I would tell you that they can't shoot every area on the face. You just can't. Your face will droop and fall, right? You can't fill every area on the face. You just can't. So I would change my whole discussion with that person who's making right now, because just wait, it's going to cut into that whole industry. But the bottom line is right now, in 15 minutes, these guys can make $3,000. Like, you know, that. It's their cash cow. You don't take away a cash cow. What you tell them is that with Nerium, you're going to look like the best shooter there is ever, because you're going to be able to affect the whole face, including wherever you're shooting. Eventually, so that's just an industry tip for you, okay? Industry is the reverse. They're threatened if you go in and say this is going to replace. You're not replacing. You have a new entity, and no matter what the situation is, you are improving whatever it is that they already are doing, okay? So they're building this. They're building more, and people in the industry are going to have to help certain individuals get through certain stages, okay? That doesn't mean you're allergic. Only 2% of the population are allergic to Nerium, and that's about as random as shellfish and feasting, okay? So it could be anything in the bottle, not necessarily the olein. It could be anything that someone has an allergy to, and it's very rare. So generally it's a stage, not an allergen. The way to check an allergy is to put it right on the inside of the wrist or the inside of the arm where you're nice and veiny, or you can do it right behind here too. I prefer the arm. Just because if they're going to swell up, let them happen on our arm. So if they swell up, they're allergic. You don't know to what exactly it is in the product, but it's rare. It's about as rare as, like I said, these things are shellfish. I mean, 2% is nothing when you consider things that are really, allergens. Okay, that doesn't even really classify. It classifies as the exception to the rule. Okay. And that's why most of you who are on it aren't having any problems with it, because you're doing just fine. That doesn't mean you're not going to go through stages of a fast-acting product. Nerium is the fastest-acting age-defying product in the world. It is 100% non-toxic. It has been tested for over the 12-year mark. It's just that it wasn't put out and decided to be put into a face cream until these guys realized they had a golden ticket. And that they had discovered accidentally a non-toxic facelift in a bottle that did a million other things as well. Now, what we can claim is we can claim pore shrinkage, which you can see in the 90-day gallery or on all kinds of people's pictures or your own faces. I want you to know that in the medical industry, going as far back as time, there has never been anything that could actually shrink down pores. You could empty them, you could keep them clear, you could constantly be emptying them, you could be using products on them, you could be keeping them, healthy, but you couldn't shrink them. Nerium actually shrinks pores. It also takes away pigmentation. And I am extremely familiar with laser. I appreciate the benefits of certain lasers and can't stand the treatments of other lasers at all. Once again, less is more, and I always feel that way with everything. Big guns are just not necessary. But, of course, they're a fortune, so everybody's going to push a big gun, unless you're a dark-skinned individual, and then they're going to go scared and give you a retinol. Okay, so that's just been traditional in the industry. You could never treat a white person and a dark person with the same treatment. Different skin types, different skins. But Nerium treats skin indiscriminately because, again, it came from an autoimmune source. So if you look at everything in the body, and I just want you to think really broadly, everything in the body breaks down over time. It's all autoimmune. It's aging. Everyone's in a consistent state of aging. So everything in the body, every organ, maybe your butt's a little lower, maybe your stomach's a little bit, maybe you got some cortisol going on, everything in the body is because over time things break down. That's why people get sick when they're older, and of course it depends on what you do daily with your life, but honestly I think it's really up here. Positive attitude. I think that everything can be cured if you eat right and you maintain a positive attitude. I don't like the survivor and the victim and this, that, and the other thing, because I think everybody has stories like that. If we all considered ourselves survivors, then none of us would be achievers. And we don't want to be survivors, we want to be achievers. Okay, you know what, that happened. It was lousy, it's life, I'm moving on. Okay, that's just normal life. Everybody has a story like that. We can all talk about all kinds of different ailments that people suffer from, and autoimmune problems, etc. But it all comes down to a breakdown over time. Nerium is able to literally regenerate the skin organ. And by the way, I'm not just talking about your face. I realize that that is primarily what we're all interested in, is that lovely face and neck lift and chest lift. But I mean, try your elbows and knees and watch those things not pull at all. okay? Try your feet, watch what happens. I mean, I literally get out of the bath at night wet and just put Nerium all over me. I just spread it nice and thin, and more is not better, okay? A little extra water, more spread, a thinner coat, more packing it on is not going to help you. It's about consistency, and it's about coverage. And that's all. That's why I teach Nerium application a little bit differently. I teach to stay a little bit more wet, to put 4 pumps in your hand, maybe add a little water to that, spread it nice and smoothly and thin. Don't be doing this. You're just adding one. If you think your eyeliner is going to get better because you made it this thick, it's not. Okay? So you want to spread it evenly over, and any left over, of course you're going to start working. Before you know it, you're going to be hoarding your bottles, is what you're going to be. I hold mine, I do. I'm guilty of that because I want to make sure I have 2 or 3 a month just for myself. So Nerium works because there are receptors in the skin that automatically, and we know of aloe from as far back as time. And we know about the NAD8 extract as far back as Egyptian times. It was inscribed on walls as a healing agent. Cleopatra had oleander all around her, Nerium oleander. Now, it's very interesting, but yeah, those were her plants of choice, of decoration and stuff all around her. There was something in the oleander, and it was the enzyme, and it healed a lot of things, and it's used in the medical field, by the way, at many institutions, not just the ones that are working on skin, but many institutions that are working on it for other reasons in the medical field, to cure other diseases and problems with other organs in the body, to build up immune systems and fix things. It's been studied for HIV, and people who are being studied for HIV have not come down with AIDS. This is a miracle. This is a non-toxic miracle. What you have in your hands is a gift. No one knows about this gift. You may think they do, but I assure you that if we walked across the street and just asked every person that we saw in their house if they'd heard of Nerium, that every single one of them would ask you what the hell you were talking about. So it's a big, wide world out there, and we are doing a service, not only because what we have is changing people's lives in terms of their own personal self-esteem and personal growth. Because when you feel better about yourself, you face the world differently. You just do. Everybody's that way. In a recession, people want to look prettier than normal. They'll spend more money on beauty in a recession than anything else because they already feel bad. And then they want to get that job if it's available or whatever it is, so then they feel they have to do all this stuff to look good to get that job if they're going to get it, especially if they're older. The beautiful thing about Nerium is we don't care. My mother is 78 years old and a grand heart. And my father, who was completely opposed to it, who's 80, is now smearing it all over himself. It's really interesting. First he started with one spot, and then he was with another spot, and then now she's freaking out because he's using her bottles. She was ordering some, get them off her back and stay away from her bottles. And that's what happens. And that's what happens. And it always amazes me when people have more. They say, oh, I didn't go through my bottle in 30 days and I already got another one. And I'm thinking, really? Where did you put it then? Because I would never have gone out of a bottle. If I go on a trip like this last batch, I went through a bottle in 4 days. I did. Every time I was in my room, I reapplied. I did. I wasn't going to go out that night and not look really damn good. I just reapplied all the time. I just continuously reapplied. When I travel, that ball is gone. I know it. Even if it's 4 days, if it's a week, I'll make it last a little bit longer, you know, but I usually pack 2 just in case. Because everyone wants to share too. I've noticed that wherever our room is like pumping out of my mouth too. So I kind of count on that anyway. Go ahead, have at it, you know, enjoy it. So what we have is we really have a gift. We have something that doesn't exist anywhere in the whole world except through us. We also have a management team that is phenomenal and is Google proof. You can Google our whole management team and you cannot find something negative on any one of them. Because this is what they do. And they were all retired. None of them, they're all very wealthy. None of them were planning on doing this. But they're also people. And they enjoy doing this. And I think when they saw the science and realized that this was a real breakthrough, I mean, they're not dumb, right? So then you come out of retirement and you say, you know, I think I'll make this my last run. And I'll go down in the history books because I'm going to do it right. And then I'm going to get people to help me to make sure that I'm having a ripple effect on all of us to grow and all of us to change our lives and change the lives of others and give them hope. Because the main thing is to bring hope back into people's lives. This is what it's about. And anyone who appreciates what they have in their hands right now and gets it, you'll be making 6 figures by next year without even batting an eyelash, as long as you're just doing your weekly goals and don't even keep your eye on the prize and the big pictures. I say, I don't even check half the time, okay? I'm interested in, you know, what's happening now and what's going on each week more than I'm interested in, and helping coach and teach and be there for people who need that type of support initially, because that's what sharing and caring is. It's helping other people understand. It's helping other people to learn how to do this business, which essentially, you've been told 1,000 times, it's mastering the mundane. Why is that? Because it stands alone. It stands alone. And because it stands alone, you can share it. And it doesn't matter what anybody does for a living. It allows everybody to be in the beauty industry. What a fabulous industry to be a part of. I don't know what you all have been in the past, but I know a lot of people who've been in a lot of different fields, and they never felt like they loved to come to work every day. It was a chore. I personally, this is a really happy place. I can bring up happy here. I can bring up a Santa. I can bring up Cam. I can bring. You know, I can call up Bruce. I can call everybody up here, and all I tell you is, this is really fun. It's fun. I have a good time. I'm around great people. My circle of friends has changed. I've gotten rid of the negative influences, and I'm sucking up the love and the positive influences. And you know what? That makes this company blessed right there. Because the ultimate thing is, people, the future is working together for common goals. It is. It's not the individual treadmills that we were all taught to be raised on in the Rockefeller system.